Hello beautiful people, happy Friday. Welcome to Arise with Jessica Carey, and this week we are diving into the depths of Cardamom Essential Oil. And I've had a few different musings with this, and I actually didn't know what I was going to talk about this week until today, and it's all come through to me. So I'm really excited to share the benefits that I've found of this oil and how I've incorporated it really practically, but also for emotional support, tapping back into that energetic frequency as well. So my first use of cardamom is actually in beautiful chai tea. So popping a drop of cardamom essential oil, a drop of cinnamon, and enhancing my already beautiful chai tea flavors. I love a good chai, whether that's a latte or a tea, with some almond milk. So using it to enhance the flavors that are already within the spice of the chai is the first way that I use it. I've also this week dived into using it for a really beautiful respiratory support. So usually I would go for the blends of Easy Air or the beautiful Australian eucalyptus. But what I've done this week, I've actually added cardamom to those blends and using them in the diffuser overnight to sleep, to also support any respiratory function with a lot going on at the moment and the seasons changing. I found it really supportive for anything respiratory. And there's something about the smell of this is just, it's very uplifting and opening for the lungs and the heart chakra. So I really love utilizing it for beautiful deep breathing and meditation as well. I've incorporated that in. So it's found a lot of uses within my week that I actually hadn't dived into before until this week. So my musings of cardamom have been really beautiful. I actually want to share the energetic support of cardamom, and it's kind of the one thing that I was like, I don't know how to express this. I don't know how to share my musings on this earlier in the week. But cardamom is actually the oil of objectivity. So some of you may be going, what does that mean? What does that mean on an emotional or an energetic level? So I'm just going to read a little bit about it from the incredible Emotions and Essential Oils book. So cardamom assists individuals to regain objectivity, mental sobriety, and self-control. It assists individuals who frequently feel frustrated or angry with other people. So what I love about this is, I know as human beings, there's so many moments in our days or our weeks, especially in such busy times, that people can feel intense anger, or we see it or we witness it in other people, to other people. And I guess what I've learned as I've anchored into the essence of cardamom this week and what it truly means to me to see things objectively is, for me, it's been about taking self-responsibility of my actions, my choices, and being able to be in that space that there's never a blame of others. I think in society these days, people are so quick and have this quick fix to blame others if something hasn't worked out for them, or if they don't want to take responsibility for an action or a choice that they've made, that they'll blame somebody else. And I've witnessed that a lot in the last week, and why I wanted to speak into that is because when I anchor into these oils, it becomes really apparent to me the energetic and the emotional response of how people actually do treat one another, or the lack of responsibility we take for ourselves, our journey, and our life. So what I love is this oil has really, really, really anchored me into the essence of always objectively taking my own self-responsibility to anchor and align with my own self-mastery. So what that means for me is that I always have a choice. I always have a choice of how I treat people. I always have a choice if something goes in the perception of wrong in my life. I always have a choice of how I react, and not in a space of anger, in a space of empathy, but also in a way that how can I move through it? What are my action steps to move through it? And having a very empathetic heart, sometimes I am very easily hurt or very easily sensitive to situations. So what I do love about anchoring into the essence of cardamom is that empathy, when it's taken advantage of, or I can feel hurt way too many times, it can turn into resentment, anger, and blame. And the reason for that is because there's only so many times you can get knocked down. So And I'm sure many of you resonate with that as well. Life can give us some blows. So what I love about this oil is it's really anchored me into directing any emotion of anger and resentment and frustration that comes up, anchoring that back into here and moving through it in a way that's taking responsibility for my own life and anchoring me into a way of redirecting that energy back into my solar plexus. So taking control and taking self-responsibility of my own power and my own essence, knowing that I always have the ability to be in a space of my own power, of my own empowerment, of my own choices, of my own moments of my days and where I want them to flow. And I've really had a week this week where I've crashed and burned pretty hard because I've made a lot of choices to get a few things done that have taken me, gotten me out of my body in a way that I'm very, very exhausted. But I also made those choices, so I have to take responsibility. There's no point blaming other people for that I'm tired or getting angry or moody because I am tired, and I see a lot of people do that as well. So what I find is when I take personal ownership for my choices, for how I feel, for everything, it just gives me my power back, and it gives me a lot of peace and a lot of calm. So what I would love you to anchor and feel into with the energy of objectivity and the energy of cardamom this week, whether you use it or whether you don't, is really feel into yourself of where you are still holding blame, resentment or anger to others, and directing that back inward of how you can move through it in a way where you can take responsibility for your own life, for your own choices, and for the way you show up in the world. And just really anchoring into who you are and taking some of that power back, like calling that energy back into here and going, I'm going to take ownership for this, and I'm going to move through it in a way that gives my life and gives me a way to take responsibility for my life and the way I show up in the world, the way I interact with other people, and the way I treat myself. So objectively treating yourself in a way that's kind and loving, because so many times we can actually treat ourselves worse than we treat other people. So being gentle with our own heart, and I know I'm going to take a leaf out of my own book as I say that today, because I've been quite harsh on myself this week in being so tired when I have so many things that I want to create and get done. And sometimes we've just got to listen and make choices that are the right thing for our own soul, and not get angry at ourselves or other people. So chai tea, use it in your chai tea, use it in your cooking. And I've loved it for respiratory support, open up the lungs and the airways, heart chakra, to breathe, especially with this change of season going on. I found it's really beautiful for supporting that as well. So that is my musings on cardamom this week. And next week I am diving into the beautiful essence of cassia. So I'm really looking forward to that. And if you would like to know anything more about Cardamom Essential Oil, please have a look through this week. I've shared the physical, the energetic, the emotional, the spiritual aspects of that, as well as the co-impact sourcing of this beautiful oil. This oil is sourced in Guatemala, and it's such a beautiful process. So on Tuesday I posted a video about that, so please have a look at that from some of the founders that have created that video. And I look forward to diving into cassia with you next week. If you would like to know more about doTERRA essential oils and how you can incorporate them into your life, please reach out to me, as there's a way you can get them for wholesale price. So I would love to connect with you. So I hope you have a beautiful weekend, and I really hope you've loved anchoring into the beautiful essence of cardamom this week. So have a beautiful weekend, and I'll see you next week.